Shamima Begum's lawyer is back in the headlines. Tasnime Akunjee is a controversial character, to say the least, after defending ISIS runaway Shamima and sharing tweets like this one. The boys are back in town, celebrating the Taliban's attack on Kabul back in 2021. That hasn't stopped him running to become an MP, though, as he prepares to challenge Labour's incumbent Rushanara Ali in the East London seat of Bethnal Green and Stepney. 3 guesses what his campaign will be run on.
When the bombing of Gazans and Palestine started, we were assaulted hourly with images of death and destruction. Thousands of children, even babies, struck down in the most violent of ways. Constituents desperately wrote in or even called on Rushanara to do something, or at least say something publicly that would help bring an end to this horror. You needed your MP to speak on your behalf. You needed to be heard. You were, however, met with silence.
And Palestine is clearly a cause that locals feel very strongly about. Here's what I faced when I just wandered into a protest outside Rushanara Ali's constituency office back in November. Why are you here?
Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you!
You're killing babies. You support killing of babies, which is a very sad reality. Shame on you!
Nice bunch. These protests spread across the country, with Wes Streeting's constituency also facing a furious backlash over the very same issue.
This MP is not representing us. This is genocide. We cannot accept this. We need this man out! We need this man out!
Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire!
I'm delighted to be joined by Labour activist and member Aisha Ali-Khan. Aisha, thank you very, very much. Does the Labour Party now not have a real problem when it comes to pro-Palestine candidates standing against them at the election?
I think what we're going to find out is definitely in the local elections in May, just how big a problem that my party is going to have in terms of the feelings around Palestine, the war in Gaza right now, Keir Starmer's stance, and how long the silence on the sort of crisis, the humanitarian crisis that's going on right now, how long will that silence is going to continue?
Yeah, OK. I mean, does this not put a huge amount of pressure on the Labour Party to do things like back a ceasefire, for example, and to have that, if they want to keep the quote-unquote traditional Muslim vote, as it were? I know it's not just the Muslim vote that are very keen on a ceasefire, I get that, but I think in the context of which we're talking at the moment, that is relevant. You know, does this not put a lot of pressure on the Labour Party?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we've had so many local protests as well, and local activists that have come out and said we are disappointed with the official Labour stance, and we're not going to stand back and let that continue. And I mean, I'm from a town called Keighley, and a local activist has stepped forward and said he's going to stand. Vaz Shabir, he's going to stand, and he is going to challenge both the Conservative MP and the Labour candidate. So this is something that I'm seeing in Bradford as well. Lots of local activists are coming forward. There seems to be a concerted effort now to field independent candidates to stand against both Conservatives and Labour MPs who are not backing an immediate ceasefire in Palestine.
Absolutely,
in Gaza,
but let's be honest, a lot of these people who are now coming forward were either former members of the Labour Party, former councillors of the Labour Party, or were from a demographic there that has been voting overwhelmingly for the Labour Party. That's why I would argue it's more of a problem for them. You mentioned it in Bradford, in Keighley. We know it's going to be a problem in several London seats. I think it's absolutely going to be a problem in parts of Greater Manchester as well. I'll be fascinated to see how parts of Leicester, for example, Birmingham, what happens there. Do you think, and from what you're hearing on the kind of beneath the surface of the Labour Party and from the grassroots level, do you think this is going to be a really, really common theme at the next general election, that independent candidates on a pro-Palestine ticket, likely from the Muslim community, are going to be standing as independents there?
I can definitely see that happening. It's happening right now. People are speaking to each other. I'm a member of a number of forums, not necessarily Labour forums, but community forums. And I have seen really strong, passionate views. I've seen a lot of anger, lots of disappointment. And I myself am disappointed on a personal level that Keir Starmer hasn't called for a ceasefire. But Patrick, I think we also need to acknowledge that it all depends on when Rishi Sunak calls the general election. We know right now that he's aiming for the second part of 2024. He can actually call an election right up to the end of January 2025. And so much can happen from now and then. We could have a ceasefire, which would be fantastic because it would stop, people being killed, and it could get humanitarian aid into Gaza. The issue could easily quieten down in time for
I've just got to ask though, right? Do you not think maybe it is a concern for Britain that a lawyer who was representing Shamima Begum, right, that's one thing, but a bloke who thought it was funny to tweet the lads are back in town or whatever it was when the Taliban were rolling back in to Kabul, that people like that could end up... I think he'll win that seat, right? That's one of the reasons why I'm so concerned about it. I think he'll win, OK? But also that we now, conceivably, after the next election, could end up with quite a lot of MPs whose sole purpose is actually about what's going on in the Middle East and not about what's happening here in Britain.
I think, Patrick, for me, I think as a history teacher as well, it's worth looking back to the general election of 2005. There was a lot of strong feeling. We'd sort of partnered up with the USA to invade Afghanistan. There's a lot of anti-Labour feeling during that election campaign as well against Tony Blair and the Labour Party. And we did manage to win. And I think, like I said, the timing is very crucial here. If Rishi Sunak was listening and he took, if he saw what was going on the ground and he took the advice of people that had their ears to the ground, he should be calling an election right now. But I don't think he will, because I think he will wait till the March elections, the local elections, to see exactly how the local, sort of the outcome of the local elections, how that's going to look. And then he's going to decide. By which point, look, we could have a ceasefire. We could have the Labour Party apologising. We could have things could look.
But this is interesting. Yeah, again, it's really, really fascinating. So I should thank you, and I really hope that we can have this conversation again because it's not going away anytime soon. And I for one, really am. I'm keen to bang this drum because it's not getting enough coverage. This for me, Aisha Ali-Khan there. Thank you very, very much. Look, very telling. Right, I think in loads of seats up and down the country, there was the option. What they tried to do in some cases was register a Party of Islam in the UK. Now that was knocked back by the Electoral Commission. But there's nothing to stop independent candidates, whether they want to run as on a singularly Islamic ticket or whether they want to do it issue-based on things like a pro-Palestine cause. There is nothing to stop people doing that. We live in a democracy. Absolutely fair enough. And obviously, then people will go out and vote for that. I do not think it is beyond the realms of possibility that we could end up with quite a few MPs in certain areas of this country who are running singularly on a pro-Palestine ticket, and I think that could have quite far-reaching consequences for this nation. How do you feel about that? GBViews at GBNews.com.